Hello everyone and welcome to Pyro Produce, where we remove the barrier separating the farm and the kitchen. Whether you're a hospitality professional, farmer, home gardener, or someone who just enjoys cooking, stick around because this video is for you. Do you want to know the secret to growing great ingredients? Trust me, it's not what you think. It's taken me years and years of failure and over 10,000 hours to develop, and I'm going to give it to you absolutely free. It's called the Rule of Three. I told you, not what you thought it was going to be. As a farmer that grows for chefs, my life is run by this rule. It's a framework that I've developed that allows me to extend the timeline horizon in which I view ingredient availability. From the very beginning of the seeds, all the way up into the end where production finally commences. And this is when I can offer chefs these beautiful ingredients on a consistent basis, depending on the season. Now you're probably wondering why I call this the Rule of Three. Well, I'm always 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months, or 3 years in advance of growing these ingredients for chefs. And all along the evolution and the growth cycle of these plants, I'm balancing 3 things: light, moisture, temperature. But this doesn't necessarily just apply to growing for chefs. It's such a great tool to use if you're growing ingredients for your home kitchen, or if you're a market gardener growing for the local community. This rule is driven by the fluctuation in the seasonality of Southern Ontario, where every 3 months there's shifts in nature that reflect which ingredients are going to perform well and absolutely be at their peak flavor. Peas and radish in the spring, for instance, grow and taste much sweeter because of the cooler temperatures, relative to the summer months when tomatoes and peppers are at their best. I will also add that all plants have a DTM, or days to maturity. It's a numerical value that's been given to the plant that is expected to reach maturity if adequate growth conditions are being met. That's why this rule is such a powerful tool in your toolbox that allows you to be able to grow plants anywhere in the world once you begin to understand your seasonal climate. I'll break this down a little further using 2 ingredients I have for chefs right now. Here we have our micro pea done in 3 different successions. 3 weeks. 3 days to germinate, 3 weeks to grow. It's such a beautiful crop to have for chefs when there's nothing fresh coming out of the field between October and March. To grow this pea, I use the first 2 threes in the Rule of Three. Okay? It's 3 days and 3 weeks. If you look down in here, we have our pea beginning to germinate inside of our germ chamber. It's soaked for 24 hours. And then inside this germination tent for 48 hours. Then, once we're finished our first rule, 3 days, the pea is removed from the germination chamber and it's brought over onto our rack here. We have all of our peas done in 3-week succession. One at the back is almost ready to go, 2 weeks, 1 week, and inside the germination chamber will be that 3rd week that we're looking for. The other ingredient is false cardamom. And for this instance, we use the last rule in the Rule of Three. It's 3 years. It's a 3-year ingredient. We first inherited this beautiful aromatic tropical crop 2.5 years ago and decided to grow it out inside of our plant nursery because of how beautifully scented it is. It smells exactly like cardamom and ginger mixed together. Oh. When we first received the false cardamom plants, this was roughly about the size of the plant that came. And from this plant, we separated off its tubers here. We got roughly about 25 from that plant. And after about 2.5 years of growth inside of our plant nursery, because this plant, being a tropical variety, grows very slowly in our climate, we are now just reaching the availability of consistent production for chefs. Chefs lose their mind when they get this ingredient. And because we're moving into the 3rd year production with the false cardamom, it's going to bloom this summer. And that's going to be another beautiful ingredient we can offer to the chefs in Southern Ontario. At Pyro Produce, we live and breathe this rule. And I hope you'll adopt it into your toolbox because it serves everyone that enjoys great food. Because great food comes from great ingredients, and great ingredients take time. Sometimes 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months, or 3 years in advance. Now, if you like this video, please consider subscribing, liking, and sharing. Okay, crew, Pyro out.